You talk about something called the waterfall method as
Yep.
well. What's that?
Oh, it's I spent the aughts basically helping companies implement systems through a very sequential and rigid method. And there are a lot of different monikers for it, phase gate method or systems development lifecycle SDLC, but it ultimately comes down to a series of phases.
Right.
So it might be things like making the business case for a new system or project and gathering all the requirements and vetting all the vendors and training all the people how to use it and gathering the business requirements and implementing it and cleaning the data and then going live. And that's one way to do it. And in fact, as I used to tell my students as a college professor, apart from systems, there are certain things that you want to make sure work out of the gate,
Sure.
right? So
Sure.
cars and drugs and airplanes, you don't
Sure.
want to fix them later. This isn't a snap on my iPhone 14 Pro not working a certain feature. I'll live, they'll issue an update. Waterfall or phase gate method is very different than agile methods like Scrum, in which case, and they're very different methods, but with Scrum or an agile method, you're saying we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen, so we're not even going to try. And rather than try to boil the ocean and do everything at once, we're going to release a product every 2 to 3 sprints, maybe every month. So those are the two ways of doing it. There's a third way that some people call agile fall or
Right.
and I just think that's like trying to get a little bit pregnant, or I think in the book I say something like I'm in a polygamous relationship, except every other Tuesday after the winter solstice, unless it's an even year.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before that's going to break bad. But yeah,
But I thought like the agile, like being like an agile methodology is, or an agile methodology is where you're kind of fixing things as you go, right? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
right.
I
Which
mean,
is, you're not supposed to try to, I think you wrote about like, don't try to fix a plane while it's in the air, but there are some projects that to be agile, that's something that you're kind of forced to do, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when you think about agile methods, a product owner should, in theory, be aware of those types of things, but no
Sure.
product owner can predict the future. So if you're, I don't want to say Twitter because it's such a nightmare right now, but let's just say you were, let's go with Amazon, and you
Right.
were launching a product and Google was working on a similar product. Well, they got
Right.
to market first and it's got new features. Under the waterfall method, you wouldn't care because you have your plan set up a year or two in advance versus with agile method, you'd say, oh, I think we need to change course now because there's this little thing called reality and we
Yeah.
can't pretend like another company. But yeah, I guess the point as it relates to the book is that regardless of the methodology that you're following, and they're each valid,
Yeah.
uh, these hybrid challenges are going to affect all of them, right? If you're not using the same tool or you don't know your colleagues beyond just an email address or a Slack or Microsoft Teams avatar, that's going to plague you regardless of how you're getting it done.